Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Herbie's Cooking Corner. For what date is this today? I don't know.
22nd.
22nd. All right, very good. So, welcome to Herbie's Cooking Corner for May 22nd, 2023. I am going to be flying solo today. Well, sort of. I think maybe we can draft one or two people that'll be more than happy to fill in the role of giving me some kind of sarcasm as we go along. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to be flying solo today as Tori is not feeling well at the moment and has some things going on making it hard for her to participate with us today. But we do have a good crew working with us all today. We got over on the Zoom side, Diane. By the way, if you play her on Dice World, you can find her under Minerva, and she might cast a spell on you. We are hearing somebody's voiceover, so please make sure you check your mute status. And on the Clubhouse side of things, we've got Darcy, who's broadcasting, moderating, streaming, and he is our singer and dancer for today. So, welcome to both of you.
Wait, I didn't sign on for that.
I know, but I just drafted you instead. You know, play some of our favorites. Let's see. I think your two best were Particle Man and Losing My Religion. So I'm still waiting for that duet with you and Holly on the Valley Girl. And wait a minute. I'm getting off track here, and Tori's not even here to make me do that. So what does that say? But we're gonna do a very interesting recipe today, and it's one that I have actually never done before. Because I always make the simple enchiladas, but I was asked to make tortilla casserole, and that is what we are going to do. And what's very interesting about this particular recipe is this calls for the most cans I've ever used in a recipe. What do I mean by that? Well, we've got cream of mushroom soup, cream of chicken soup, green chilies, black olives. That's at least 4 cans right there. So is that what I have? Let's check. One, two. No, I've got 5 cans. So there's a can of something else here. Oh, a can of chili as well. The good news is 3 of these cans are pull tops, so I only need the can opener for 2 of them. But I guess it's what we can eat. We can, and what we can't, what we can't eat, we can. So that's the nature of these things. The good news is that the recipe itself is pretty straightforward. We just pretty much mix up the stuff and then put it in the pan. So let's start by preheating our oven. And the question I always get is how much do and all that. So we're going to preheat our oven to 350. So 350, and when we put this thing in the oven, it's going to be about 30 minutes. What we're going to do is, this is a layered approach, and but what we first need to do is make our sauce, and then we're going to kind of try to make this work. And this is not one of my favorite type of things to do, I must admit, but so the first thing it calls for is 1 small onion fried after we get 2 large chicken breasts. I forgot to fry my onions. Oh dear. Well, let's do that right now before we get to everything else, and we can put together our sauce. So do I have my small skillet? Do I have my small skillet that I really prefer to use? Well, I can use the small pot, but we'll settle for the medium-sized skillet instead. So what I did is I cheated again, guys. Don't tell anybody that I'm a cheater, alright? Well, I don't think it's cheating, actually. It's just pretty convenient. So rather than dealing with slicing the onion and all that, which there's a place, time and place for that. Like if you're making onion rings, what I'm about to do here is something you do not want to do, or if you're wanting maybe like big chunks of onion in your burger. I just got the chopped onions again, and I've talked about these before. You can find them in any grocery store. They're just pre-chopped. It's the yellow onion, and it just makes life a whole lot easier, and you don't have to get all teary-eyed about it either. No, you really don't. So, I some people don't like to do this type of thing because it could add up more and whatever. But you know what? If you don't always have time to be chopping and whatnot, you got to get things done. And so, for me, that's how I like to do this. Now, I am unhappy that I discovered they only gave me one of the containers of onions that I ordered, but we'll just have to do something about that later on. As I'm going to peel this container that I get from Walmart has a plastic thing on it. I just peel it off. I take off the lid and very good. I put the lid in the garbage. I take this and I put a little bit, just a tiny bit of olive oil on the bottom of the pan. A little bit more liquid in it than what I would have thought, but okay. But they didn't give me a good batch. So I just pour the onions there in there. Now you can do this if you don't want all the onions. You can do a lesser amount and reseal the container and put it back in the fridge for later. So you have a choice on how much you use. This comes to about I forget how much it said, but I think it's the equivalent to like one onion. And I'm washing my hands, trying to get some of the onion juice off. And we're going to set this thing to medium. And let's talk about our sauce here. We've got a very interesting sauce blend. And this thing does use some interesting abbreviations, which can make you almost miss things. But we got it straightened out. So what we need here for our sauce is a can of mushroom soup, cream of mushroom soup, a can of cream of chicken soup, 8 ounces sour cream, a can diced green chilies, a can of sliced olives, and now here's where the recipe really gets interesting. I'm assuming we mix the onions and the olives and the chicken into the sauce. It's not very clear because I kind of interpret sauce more as just the liquid, but and that's where it gets interesting because it's like you don't mix the cheese into the sauce, you layer that separately. So this is not one of those professional recipes that I get. What is my thing doing? Okay. Unfortunately, being on Clubhouse, it means that my phone can actually start playing music, which is great when I want it to, and it's not so great when I don't want it to. So, this is a handmade, this is one of those homemade recipes. So, I am just making some assumptions here as we go along, and we're going to hope that it works out. Now, before I get to the sauce making, are there any questions on either platform? If you're on Zoom, just hit that raise hand button, and if you're on Clubhouse, you can hit the request to speak button.
Yes, we have a raised hand in Zoom, and that is Spider Woman.
Heidi, all right.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know if it says whether or not to use the juice from the olives, but if it does, you can actually drain the juice from the olives into either can of the cream of mushroom soup or the cream of chicken, and you can get more of the cream of out.
Okay, it actually does not say one way or the other. It does not say that the olive should be drained. It just says a can of sliced olives. So,
Oh,
so you think I should? So you think I should not? So, what are you saying? I should or shouldn't drain the olives?
I have no idea. I've never made this. So
We have it. All right. Well, I'm gonna assume that we'll drain the olives then, but I've never made this before either. So that makes two of us. Why haven't you ever made this before, there, Heidi? I need your help. No. Um, but it's those grasshoppers you've been eating again, right? I know how it
For
works.
what it's worth, I hate to interrupt, but since it is my mom's recipe, I that makes sense that the olives would be drained. I think that's what we did.
All right.
It's been ages, but I'm sorry. I just
No,
thought
you're
I'd
fine.
put that in there.
And you're supposed to be my sidekick anyway, but you said you had phone calls to make, so I didn't draft you.
I haven't done them yet because I hate the idea of making phone calls.
Oh,
So
so do I.
Just in
okay.
general.
Yes.
Chanel, you have your hand
yes,
raised.
you can lower it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. In general, I hate making phone calls too because it means actually having to talk to people, and
Yep, I'm right there with you.
yeah. So,
And we do
anyway,
have
I'm trying
another
to figure
raised.
out Wordle anyway. So there.
all right, we've got somebody else raised. Chanel, you can just speak up because it's your mom's recipe and you know stuff about it. So anyway, go ahead. Next
Okay,
raised
our
hand.
next raised hand belongs to Deborah. Deborah.
Deborah. Deborah. All right, Deborah.
I don't know.
Deborah. I'm
Jaws
just
is
doing.
saying it, Deborah.
All right. Welcome,
It's me,
Deborah.
Deborah.
All
Yeah.
right. Yes.
So what I was wondering is, you said, I'm writing this down as we go. You said one small onion. Do you fry that? Do you chop it up and sort of
Yes.
saute the onion as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And the other thing I was wondering is that could you use and I'll ask this to you, Janelle, as well. Could you use like the regular olives rather than canned olives?
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I've always
Okay.
done canned. I'm not. It's been like 20 years since I helped my mom make this, so I don't remember.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I will say when
Okay.
it comes to the olive, it calls for the olives to be sliced. So
Mm-hmm.
remember. So you have to remember we're cooking, not baking. So with cooking, some of these things can be a matter of preference. What do you want? So if you want bigger olives, then I don't know. And I couldn't. I don't know of any reason why you could not use regular olives. But if you'd rather they be sliced
Mm-hmm.
and more blended in, then you can either take the time to slice them or just get to like I did with the onions as well. I just got the pre-chopped ones. Let somebody else do the work, and
Mm-hmm.
I can get my job done that much quicker. So,
Mm-hmm.
so
Cool.
I think it's a matter of personal preference on that one.
Cool. Okay.
All right, thank you, Deborah. And no birdie today.
Sorry?
Oh, I was asking Deborah a question, but she went on mute.
Oh,
And I will mention, guys, that of course, don't forget if you look through the email, one of the things you will see is a link to a Dropbox folder that has many of the Cooking Corner recipes, and this one will be included later today. In fact, after the call. So have no fear. You can actually click on that link, and you will see text copies of the recipes, and they are done in plain text format, so that way you do not need any specialized software to access them. So that is why I do it that way. Sorry if you want pretty formatting or anything like that. No, this is just a simple way of getting you the information in a quick and convenient way. Any other questions?
we have no hands in Zoom.
No hands in Zoom. Okay, no hands. Oh, you're saying nobody has their hand raised. Oh dear. I don't know how I could get confused. All right. So I don't know if you can hear the onions sizzling or not, but I've been sauteing them while answering your guys' questions. And I think these are soft enough now that we can turn the pan off. We'll turn the stove off, rather, I should say. And I'll set this on the back burner so they can just kind of cool off for when I'm ready for them. So, with the cans, let's talk about these. So, I do not magically know what cans are what sometimes. I did actually have to identify them. Though the olives were pretty easy enough because those come in a very short, squat can. And the green chilies also come in a squat can too. Now, those I saw in both 4 and 7 ounce cans. I think this is a matter of preference, so I just got the 7 ounce can to give us a little bit of kick. You know how it goes. And let's start with our cans, though, that don't require a can opener. So we got our cream of soups here, and then we got the Hormel Hormel chili. And I scanned these earlier, so it doesn't matter which soup I open first. But these cream of soups have the pull top can, and that really comes in handy. It's like opening a soda can. You pull the tab back, pull it up, pull the take the lid along with you, and we just kind of shake the can into our mixing bowl. And I guess you could mix this all up in the pan if you wanted, but I think it'll be easier to work in a mixing bowl. And then we throw away the rest. And I got a little bit of soup on my hands here, so I'm going to wash that off. And let us do this again now with the cream of other soup. So, one thing I did notice when getting this, because I've never gotten the canned chili before, is it is a bit of a taller can than the cream soups. So, if you don't have an easy way of identifying things, that's one giveaway, is that the can for the chili is yikes, that's a stubborn lid. These lids can be a bit stubborn, unfortunately. It is a little bit taller. Alright, that soup came out easier than the other one did, but these are both brand new cans. Actually, I did drop one can earlier, so I wonder if that was a factor, but that was, yeah. Alright, so the chili will be interesting, as I've never dealt with this before. The recipe officially calls for Denison's chili. I don't know if that is like a brand or not, but I could not find it. So we're doing the Hormel chili instead. I could have tried other grocery stores and see if I had any luck, but hopefully this doesn't affect things too much. And, this lid came off easy. Oh, now what's really going to make this interesting is the chili. It was kind of a little bit unclear on this from the description, but this is all I could find. Does have the ground meat in it. So, this will be interesting. Okay, so we can do this one of two ways then. Instead of actually doing the chicken, we can just try this with the meat in there, or we can add the chicken and have extra protein. What do you think, Chanel? You get to eat this stuff too with me, so.
We should just skip the chili, maybe.
Well, I already poured it in the thing, but.
Okay. Hold on.
All right. Because unfortunately it is part of the actual sauce mixture. That's why I included it. But we'll just forgo the chicken part, and I will find another use for it. But that is the interesting thing with this particular recipe. All right. Now, our other two cans do require a can opener. And I use the manual can opener, so I'm going to place the thing on the lid of the can and turn the crank. I'm kind of turning it to the right, as that usually works better for opening cans. And we got our green chilies opened. Yep, these are green chilies, and so I'm kind of pouring them in. And, ooh, yikes, the lid fell off there. That's not good. Okay. And, you know what occurred to me? I don't think they needed to be drained, but this is going to make for an interesting recipe. I'll just tell you that much. And it may be a recipe for disaster. I don't know. All right, the canned olives are the shorter can, and we've established that we want to drain them. So let's talk about draining. There's two ways to drain a can. You can use your fingers as a guide, or you can use a strainer. I've done this enough that I can just use my fingers. So I'm opening the can. I didn't bother washing the can opener because it's all getting used for the same thing. And actually, the lid hasn't come off, so we can actually use that as a guide to pour a lot of the water out and kind of tilt it to the side. And all right, I'm going to now mix in the, ooh, yikes. Okay, the lid was the most difficult on that one. It did want to stayed stuck on. All right, so I got all the water out. We poured all the olives in. Next is the most evil substance known to mankind whatsoever, but you all just dollop it on your food items anyway, for whatever reason. I don't know. Oh, I'm not supposed to yuck on other people's yums. Crap. I made a big mistake, but you know what? It's my cooking show. I'm working with the ingredients, and it just means I have to be nice when you're eating it, but while I'm cooking it, I'll give my opinion on sour cream. The most evil substance known to mankind, that we've invented at least, food-wise. But you all like it, so okay. This calls for 8 ounces of sour cream. It's okay when it's mixed into things, but yikes, it's dripping everywhere. It comes with a plastic film. And after you take off the lid, it comes in a squat container. And we're just dolloping it, pouring it out, shaking it. I can tell just by feeling the outside of the container there's still stuff in there. But you know what? I can get out my mixing spoon anyway and just scoop any extra out. And that will be that. Okay, so I think that is my sauce mixture. So 5 cans, 1 container, and since this already has ground beef in it, then the chili, I'm not going to add in the chicken, but if you did, I'm assuming this is where you would add in the chicken anyway. Again, the recipe is not the most clear, so I really need to ask the expert people who make this stuff and see what they do. I should have asked them anyway, but you know, there's a reason why I don't make this. This is expert recipe stuff that I let my mother-in-law do, because she's the real expert cook. But all right, okay, yep, that is all of that. So I tell you what, I'm gonna mix. Go ahead and let's drain the onions actually first, because they were in a little bit of oil, so we can drain out the extra olive oil and put them into our mixture. So and I'm going to have to figure out a way to really find the kind of chili that this thing really calls for, because I have no idea. I did not fully realize what I was getting myself into until I actually started shopping for these ingredients the other day. I was like, wait a minute. And like I said, the description, even the barcode scanner, it says like beef protein, but the way it's worded, it's more like a liquid. And so I think the language on there is a little bit confusing. So you know it has a meat base. That at least is very obvious from the description. But I thought it used the way the... And I could have tried my... I don't like to use my phone for scanning cans if I don't have to, because that is a pain. I really do prefer my barcode scanner, as it has a directional finder and is just a lot easier to work with. But so the phone might have told me something different, but the way the ID mate read the thing is, I got the impression it was like... It should have said actual like ground beef, or a bit more specific, instead of using the term beef protein. But I can whine about labels another time, and how sometimes they can be better worded, and maybe that's the... I really have to look into this Denison's chili, but that might mean Amazon and all that. Okay, now that I poured in the onions and got the last of it out of the container, I'm going to stir this all up. And we're just going to let it all blend together. And the sour cream is kind of floating on the top here. I can tell because this is such a huge mixture that the olives are not... I really almost think I would have preferred to look for the chopped olives, not the sliced olives for this, as I wouldn't call these sliced. These more look like whole olives to me. Yes?
I've been trying to talk on Zoom, but you can't hear me. Like, I certainly don't remember. You know, the chili definitely did not have beans in it.
Okay, am I still being heard on Clubhouse?
I don't know.
Yeah, we can hear you in Clubhouse.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so it's just Chanel having problems. Okay. And so what were you saying? Here, Chanel, let's get you closer to the microphone.
I said the recipe certainly did not have a chili with beans in it.
No, it doesn't have beans in it.
Okay,
It does clear that. Okay, well, we do need to talk a little bit more about chili.
let me get. Okay, I'm gonna get back. I don't know.
The recipe does clearly say chili, no beans, and this one does not have beans. It has the ground meat in it, but no beans. Now, I will talk to you in a little bit about what a true Texan told me about chili, and so it could be very important for all you chili lovers out there while I'm stirring. So, if you want true, authentic Texas chili, that is the type without beans. So, and that is the Hormel chili that I got. Actually, it does not have beans. But so if you have chili with beans, it's not real chili. I was told this by a long, tall Texan who grew up on squirrel and rabbit, so I know it's true. You know, it's from an original source. So there you go. Don't have chili with beans in it. It is not real chili.
Herbie, may I ask a question?
You may ask a question.
With the sour cream, were you actually able to buy an 8-ounce container?
Yes.
Okay.
They can be hard to find. Now, I do my shopping at Walmart, so that could have, your grocery store, what it has is going to affect things. Also, I do my shopping online, so I'm not relying on some courtesy clerk that may or may not know what they are doing. So that does really help. But yes, you definitely can get 8-ounce. I think this is the Walmart brand specifically. It's not the Daisy brand, so I think that's why I could get it in 8 ounces. But a very good question. It is, in fact, an 8-ounce, and that makes it a whole lot easier to measure out 8 ounces. So, very good question there, Diane. All right, so now I'm going to get out my pan, and what we're going to do here is, this is again another reason why I've never liked this recipe, because, okay, how much is a little bit of sauce? It says to put a little bit of sauce on the bottom of the pan. Okay, great. So I'm just going to put a little bit of sauce on the bottom of the pan by pouring out the sauce into the bowl, into the pan, and just using my hands to kind of spread it out. We're going to spread out a little bit more. And we've got a layer of sauce on the bottom of the pan. Actually, there's room for a little bit more. I don't know how much is too little or too much, but so what we have here is a very thick substance, by the way, as you might imagine, with those cream of soup things in there. And now that that is poured out, I'm going to wash my hands and get out the tortillas. Now, what's really interesting and the big difference between these enchiladas and the ones that I make is these actually call for flour tortillas, not corn tortillas. So let's get out the cheese as well. This calls for Colby Jack and cheddar cheeses. And I got these in 8-ounce bags. And we're just going to use them all up. Now, where are my tortillas? Oh, tortillas. I know you are over here, because I saw you yesterday when I put the groceries up. Oh, really? If Tori was here, she would tell me where they are, but she is not. Okay. Now, this is a matter of remembering where you put things. Okay, are they in the bag with the other stuff? Nope. Okay, so let's see. I've got some... While I'm looking for the tortillas, does anybody have any questions?
We do have a raised hand,
All right.
and that is Tyann.
Tyann, yes.
All right, so I make something similar to this every once in a while. And when it says to put a little bit of sauce, it just means that you're putting like a thin layer just so the rest of the tortilla don't stick to the bottom of the pan.
Right. That's kind of what I thought. Okay, so we definitely found some tortillas. I don't think these are the flour tortillas. These are the corn tortillas, but you know what? That's fine. They're tortillas, and that's what matters. But now, of course, you know what will happen? Oh, you know where my flour tortillas could be. I may not have actually put them in the fridge. I may have actually put them in the pantry. That is where they are at. Okay, so we're going to do this the way the recipe calls for. Using the flour tortillas. I'd forgotten that you don't have to put them in the fridge while they're not opened, so... Oh, well, at least I haven't completely lost my mind. And we are hearing some kind of screen reader noise in the background. So if everybody...
I'm not hearing it here. Maybe it's...
I'm hearing something, but... Alright, so this calls for a dozen flour tortillas quartered. So what we're going to do is, I guess, use half the tortillas as quarters and layer it, and then put sauce and cheese on top, and then another thing. So let's talk about quarters here. No, these are not the coins that you get from dollars. These are actually, honest to goodness, real live fractions we're dealing with. Hey, if you ever wondered, do I need to know anything about fractions? Finally, you've learned a good reason why. We want to quarter these tortillas. And so how do we quarter them? Not very neatly. I could take a knife and a cutting board, and that's what we're going to do. And going to lay this down, and with the knife, just cut it in half. So remember your fractions. 1/2 of a circle is about, it's an even split. And then we take the half and divide it into half. And voila, we got our quarters. You didn't know you were going to get a math lesson in today's cooking call. And let alone learn that. So hopefully the law and all them is listening there, so that way they can tell when other kids say, I don't know why I'm never going to use this stuff in real life. They can be the first kids in the world to say yes. All right, so I'm laying this on top. So that is 1 tortilla. And let's get out just a handful here. I think I can saw through these all at once. And we're going to see if this is a good idea of mine or not. If not, well, we got plenty of other tortillas. Ooh, this will work. Okay, so this will save some time. If you don't have good muscular strength, then don't do all these at once. But, because it is going to be tough. So let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I did 5 tortillas. That's how much I actually need. So I'm just going to put these on the pan and make sure it covers it completely. And wish these 4 quarters could turn into dollars, but that's just how these things work. And I'm not worrying about being particularly neat about it. I'm just making sure that the entire sauce mixture has tortillas covering it, and just kind of putting them in a haphazard pattern, so that way we actually do have a complete layer of tortillas. So have a dozen, it calls for a dozen tortillas. A dozen is 12. Half of a dozen is 6. So it says to do a layer of tortillas, a layer of sauce, and a layer of cheese, then another layer of tortillas. So I'm splitting the tortillas in half. So there you go. 2 math lessons in 1 today, kiddos. How do you like
So
that?
I don't remember quartering. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know what was going on. I don't remember quartering the tortillas for what it's worth. So yeah, or doing it. I just remember kind of laying them down in there. But yeah,
Okay. I'm just doing what I'm told by the recipe here, so.
that's fine.
But I guess you could just lay them down. I don't know what difference it makes or doesn't make. So I can definitely understand why people would not want to bother quartering them, because it's a little bit of extra work for sure. So I'm going to now deal with our cheese. Again, I just deal with the pre-shredded stuff because it's easier. This one can definitely be a little bit of a controversial issue because, they do put extra things in the cheese to keep it from sticking. The way I see it, cheese is bad for you anyway. It's going to kill you. This just means it'll do it a little bit faster, perhaps. Maybe more horribly. I don't know. But you can grate cheese manually, of course. So you can get a cheese grater. Those are fun. Or you can definitely use like a salad shooter or some kind of electric food processor. But this is definitely more convenient. I don't know which cheese is which, and it doesn't matter. I'm just going to pour some on the top here and kind of like half the package. And we've already got, this is supposed to be 2 layers? Oh, wow. Thank goodness. I hope this stuff really melts down, because we got a pretty tall casserole happening here, let me tell you. So let's get our other package open and repeat the process. of the pre-grated cheese. But sometimes, when you're just doing this stuff, unless you have all day, you saving time, it's always a balancing act sometimes, let me tell you, when trying to do things. And I run into this issue like with transportation as well. What's more valuable to you, your money or your time? And case in point, is it easier for me to spend, like, say, back in the days when I went to school, should I spend $20 every day and take Uber and get there at a reasonable time? Or take paratransit and never know when I'm going to get there and get back? But well, first thing is as simple as picking up a prescription. Again, paratransit or a taxi. Taxi is cheaper. Taxi is a bit more. It's a lot cheaper to go pick up a prescription than to go to my university, but it's still money that you could spend elsewhere. And I see that whole issue with grating cheese and buying pre-chopped vegetables. Do you have the time to do all the chopping? Never mind the skill, that is another factor for sure. But if you don't, then there are good reasons to use the convenient methods because it can save you time. But the same could be said for just buying frozen enchiladas to begin with and cooking them that way. And yes, that is definitely the case. I will say that when it comes to like frozen dinners and stuff, you're stuck with what they give you, of course, and how they do things. So at least this way, you kind of have a compromise. You're still doing things yourself, but there are some shortcuts that you can take that will still yield the same results. So a little bit of philosophizing there. Okay, I quartered the other tortillas and I'm just laying them on here. And I'm using a 9x9 pan for this, by the way. I'm wondering if I should have actually used a 13x9. But again, the recipe did not actually say. It just said, you know what, I'm going to cheat. Because this is such a tall thing. I think I can do this, get away with it, and it'll still work. I'm going to get out my 13x9, which will give me way more room to work with in this, because I'm afraid it's going to start spilling over. And first thing I can do is pour a little bit of sauce into the 13x9, because there's still a lot of sauce here, and just kind of layer it. Then I'm going to dump the mixture into the other pan, and then we still got another layer of sauce to do, but the sauce on the bottom will kind of already, just kind of switch over to the top a little bit. So physics lessons now. Okay, guys, who knew cooking was so involved? And I'm going to take this now and just pour it, mess and all, into the 13x9. And we've still got, this is not going to be an even casserole, that's for sure, but even this 13x9 is still kind of full. Yikes. All right. And so I'm just scooping everything out here. And we've still got the rest of the cheese to put on it. I can now make sure some of these tortillas are based in the sauce here a little bit. Okay. So this really, I think, works best for a 13x9, not a casserole dish or 9x9, unless you have like a really, really tall casserole dish. But that's just my thinking on that. So, yeah, this has never been a recipe. Like I said, I should have tried making this ahead of time just to know a little bit more of what I was doing. Sometimes it's more fun to tackle a recipe head on, especially if it's one, though, that you're not particularly, I honestly, like, for me personally, guys, I would just say I prefer making the more simple, straightforward enchiladas that you do them, they're done, and you all go home happy. But that's what I like to do myself. So, okay, so I poured the remaining sauce mixture on top of the tortilla mess we've got going on here. And now I'm going to pour on this remainder package of cheese and just kind of spread it out. And this package. Okay. So, now that we've done that, it's probably just as well I don't put chicken on here. I don't even know if there'd be any room for it. Well, there is a little bit, but... and so since the chili has meat in it, I'm not doing anything extra, so it's very unclear, like, do you mix the chicken breast in with the sauce? Do you layer it on top? It actually does not say one way or the other, so I guess you just use your best estimate for that. And what happens, though, and I can't blame, it's not the writer's fault. What happens is, and I would make the same mistake too, you do these recipes so much that you don't think about taking everything apart step by step. You're just so used to doing it that you have a process that you don't think about. Computer. Computer. Oh, wrong thing. Hey, Google. Set timer for 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. Starting now.
Talking to the wrong device there. That really helps. Just saying. All right. Do we have any questions?
No raised hands in Zoom. Oh, yes, we do.
All right.
Elizabeth.
Hey, it's actually a request. When you list the email for the cooking show and everything, can you on the schedule, can we also list that link where all the recipes get posted? Because I know you can subscribe and get them all, but for those of us who just want to pop in and get a particular one, that was really helpful. And I didn't have the sense to write it down when it got listed one week. You know the one I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the Dropbox folder?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's included in every email.
It doesn't. I'll go back and look. All I saw was the emails to get in touch with people. I didn't see the Dropbox folder, but I'll go look. It may be lack of coffee on my part. My apologies.
All right, let me bring up the email since we're just letting the stuff bake in the meantime. Let's see.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a Dropbox link here, Herbie. It's just there's the
There used to be.
there's the mailing list, the email
Alright.
the cooks, the YouTube thing, and then all the other listen links.
All right. Well, I will reset the Dropbox link and include it in next week's email. And I don't know if that got
And
taken
I'll
out.
write it down for future. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
Nope, that's good to know. I did not know it was missing out of the email because I never took it out. So that's
Right.
very good to know. In the
Okay.
meantime, you can always email me, and I can also send the link to you privately as well. So, Liz, obviously you have my email address, but for those that don't, you can just email me through community@acb.org, and I
Yeah.
can definitely send you a copy of the Dropbox link. And that's easy enough to do. All right.
Okay, you got 2 more raised hands in Zoom.
Very good.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, what?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was an incorrect thing on my part. I've got to duck out and deal with my offline life here. Sorry.
Right. Offline life. I don't know what that is. Okay. Heard of such a
Okay,
thing.
Tyann is next.
Yep.
I know everything we do is online. So when I have this recipe so similar to this without the sour cream, but the the chicken breasts, what my recipe calls for is it to be shredded.
Ah, interesting. See, this one,
So,
this one just says 2 large chicken breasts. So you can interpret that in a number of ways. Do you place the chicken breast on top? Do you? And when we've had them, it's been cut up. But and I definitely shred the chicken when I do the enchiladas, for sure. But yeah, this recipe just leaves it so vague that
mhm.
so. Well, how about at some point, if you'd ever like to do your recipe live on a future cooking call, we can get you in contact with my agent and we can get you booked. So
Yeah, I think I know her.
I think you do too. And just tell her that Herbie sent you, and we'd like to have you doing your similar recipe in our next available slots, which I can go look at my email. I believe will be in August. So that'll give you plenty of time, or whenever works best for you, and she'll get you slotted in there. And very good. But I gotta ask you something. So when you put the law down for for nap time, is that laying down the law? Okay.
Yeah, and when she was a toddler, she only wanted mommy to get her up from her naps.
Aw, that's so cute.
Okay. We have a couple more raised hands.
All right.
Let's see. Donna Browning, I'm going to call on you. You had your hand down and then up again, so I'm going to
And
go
we
ahead
have
and
not
call on
heard
you.
from you yet. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I'm at work, so if it goes up and down, it's because my phone rings. I'm afraid I won't get done before y'all call me. I have
Fair
two
enough.
quick questions. So, what is you may have said this because I kind of came in when you were dealing with the onions. What is your tip for not crying when you're chopping or dealing with it? And the other one, do you have a substitute suggestion that I can do in place of the mushroom soup? I'm allergic to mushrooms.
Where's Tori when I need her? I'll go look to see if she actually included anything for that. Okay, 2 things with the onions. One, you could watch a sad movie ahead of time, so that way you're all cried out. But or read a sad book or something, or listen to a country song. Just don't play it backwards. Anyway, no. Country music is great, actually, guys. The older stuff, anyway. I'm not too big fan of that. Anyway, I digress. What I did is I got the pre-chopped onion. So you just look for in your grocery store app diced onion. And
I didn't know they had those.
nope, people don't. And now let's talk about the diced onion for a real minute here, because there's something you do need to know. There are several types of diced onion. There is diced onion, which is onion chunks, and then there is minced onion, which is like the type of onion that you would see on your McDonald's burgers that are like really, really, really finely chopped. So
Yeah, I like that actually.
Yep. So the minced onion, a little bit more variety. It comes from there's like the frozen kind to there's McCormick makes one that you just get in the bottle that's really more like a spice. It's not onion powder, but it is kind of like a minced onion type spice. And the thing I've noticed about the minced onions, I think that is a little bit stronger than like the diced yellow onions that I get from Walmart, or you can get them from other grocery stores. I've seen them at HEB, so and they might be like the ones from HEB are actually a little bit smaller than the ones I get from Walmart, but they're going to be sautéed anyway. So, but yeah, I just get them sliced and diced, and that's how I deal with not having to worry about crying, because I just pour them in the pan and I'm but also too, for me, like I've chopped enough onion now in my past that I'm kind of immune to them as well. So that's another way if you deal with them on a regular basis. And if chopped is not an option for you, another way to kind of keep from crying because you don't need to stand there and cut them as much is if you have a food processor, you can cut them into smaller chunks, get the skin off and all that jazz, and put them in the food processor. So that'll be another way. All right. So you've.
You have another hand?
All right. Just a second, because her other question was, what can you use as an alternative to mushrooms if you are allergic? So let's see. Did Tori mention anything about in her notes about the alternatives to mushroom soup? Let's see here. I'm listening to my phone here. Okay. So what okay, there's a lot here to process. So what I think she would recommend in place of the cream of mushroom soup is coconut milk. She had recommended it more as just like a general substitute, but you could use like coconut milk instead of the cream of mushroom soup as a thickener, because that's what you're wanting it as a thickener anyway, and see if that works better for you than the
Yum.
cream of mushroom soup.
Sounds
So.
good. Thank you,
All right.
Herbie.
You're welcome. All right, who is next? And let's prioritize anybody who has not spoken yet, and then anybody that's spoken will get second. Exception is Chanel because it's her recipe kind of too. So, all right, go ahead.
Okay, the first person who hasn't spoken yet is Dexter.
Dexter. All right.
Hello. As a substitute for cream of mushroom soup, I suggest cream of celery soup.
Ah, there you go. That's definitely a good one.
I use it in many casseroles like a corn, tuna, potato chip casserole and so forth, because I don't truly like cream of mushroom soup.
All right. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you for
And
that,
our next
Dexter.
hand is, and I apologize, Amanda, because I just realized that you haven't spoken yet either. Amanda is next.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Couple of things. I know for also if you just don't want cream of mushroom soup or any kind of canned soups, you can also substitute cream cheese. That's also will thicken it. And with your coconut milk, make sure you get full fat coconut milk because there's a lot of coconut milks that are very thin. So be aware of that. And also, this recipe is also really good for the summer. Put it in your crock pot, layer it, and put it down on low. And you're not using your oven, especially during the summer.
Right. Very good point. Though I must admit, like in a place like Texas where we have very good air conditioning, you don't notice the heat as much from the oven, but that is still a very good point. All right. The stovetop cooking is a little bit much for me actually in the summertime, but all right, great tips there, Amanda. Thank you very much. And who else?
Okay. By the way, we're about 3 minutes to the top of the hour, and Elizabeth is up again.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. Hey, I'm thinking that it would change the whole flavor setup, but you could probably use a layer of tomatoes. I wouldn't use the sauce, but tomatoes, which are less wet. And in the summer, maybe you could even use fresh ones, which would be nice. And cheese, which cheese will always thicken anything. So you could use, even if you didn't want to use cream cheese, you could use any kind of sharp cheese. And the other thing is if your pan is small enough that you have this in, you could probably use a large toaster oven if you didn't want to heat up your whole stove. And I guess you could use, I mean, I would use beans instead of the ground meat personally, like black beans or something. This is such a good recipe because, like Herbie was saying, this is one of those process recipes where when you learn the technique, you could make it with anything.
Right. So the original idea was for the recipe to have chicken in it, and I think it calls for a very specific type of chili. One thing I will say is that at least in my, like I told you, I had to use. If you did this as a single layer, you could get away with a 9x9. I had to use a 13x9, and at least the toaster oven I got once from Target. Now, granted, this is back in 2005. It could not fit a 13x9 pan. It could do the 9x9 pans, but it could not do a 13x9 pan. So,
Yeah, I've got a Hamilton Beach, and I agree with you that it might be tricky to get a bigger pan, but I did find a new Hamilton Beach, which I will go and chortle about on It's Electric. I'm really pleased. It's got
Excellent.
buttons. It's great. It doesn't have to hook up to the internet or anything else. It's great. So, yeah, you're right. But the cheese part, you could always use any other kind of cheese for thickener
Yep.
or even non-dairy or dairy sour cream, depending on which one you wanted to use, that would thicken it. So there's a
Well,
lot
remember
of
sour cream is part of the
options.
sauce base too, though. So
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's tricky. So you could maybe use green. But I mean, it kind of depends on what, if you use vegetables, you might not have to thicken it much at all and just layer it up with the cheese.
Right.
It's got a lot of possibilities.
So remember what you're thickening up, of course, is the actual sauce. So it already has the sour cream in it. So I don't know that I mean, I guess you could use 16 ounces of sour cream instead of the 8 ounces if you were going to do that. And because that's where the cream of mushroom soup goes into as the sauce. So, all right, thank you, Elizabeth. And who is next?
We have no other raised hands.
All right, and let's see here. Oh my goodness! Look at all these people in Clubhouse. No, we actually do have. I don't. So, do you see the raised hand that we have there, Darcy?
I do not.
All right, good to know. Well, then I will bring this person up on stage. I'm just seeing the username, which doesn't tell me much. So let's see here. Okay, did anybody come up on stage? My thing is being...
It
No,
doesn't
they
look
did
like it,
not.
not yet.
All right, if your name is Fasigo on Clubhouse, I told it to accept your hand, so... I don't know
No,
who
there's
you...
just me and both versions
Yep.
of you on stage.
Yep. That is what I'm seeing too, so... Alright, well hopefully they actually come up on stage, but...
I don't think they're here anymore.
Well, let's see if I double
wait.
tap on the username. Oh, it's Abraham. Okay, so Abraham, I told it to allow you to come up on stage, so... Abraham,
Okay,
Alright,
in the
who's
meantime,
next?
Elizabeth has her hand up again also.
Alright, Elizabeth.
I just had a quick question. Does this come out crisp? Does the tortilla layers casserole idea come out as sort of a crisp thing, or is it not like that?
I don't remember it ever being crisp. Chanel, are you still with us?
No, it does not come out
I was
crispy.
going to say, I don't think enchiladas are generally crispy, are
Can
they?
you
Aren't they
hear
kind
me?
of...
Yes.
Yeah, we can. We can.
All right, good. I don't know what. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it does not
okay.
come out crispy.
Yeah. Anytime
And
I've ever
what-
had enchiladas, they're not like super crispy. It's
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. I like the crispy ones better. And what is the canned? I was confused. Is this beanless chili or something?
It's beanless chili, it's just not meatless chili.
So it's ground beef and tomatoes and chili seasoning. See, I would tend to just use beans and tomatoes and chili seasoning, but
Well, the recipe, so one, the recipe specifically calls for chili with no beans. So
right.
that it does specifically say that in the actual recipe. So
Right. Okay.
Oh, I didn't
so
realize it had tomatoes, but yeah. Oh well.
I don't know.
I didn't even think about using tomatoes as a substitute, or I could have mixed them with chili, and I do have actual chili powder, but yep,
Right.
Hey, Herbie.
yep.
So this is a little off topic to cooking, but one of the reasons I think I can't say any hands is because I'm actually not a moderator. I didn't realize
Oh,
that. So,
that would be a problem.
because I'm like, why
Okay.
can't I bring
Yeah.
him up on stage? Because I'm not a moderator.
Okay, well, you know, it's a good thing I stayed on Clubhouse. That's all I can say.
It's a good thing you did, because
I wouldn't call it off topic. I'd call it a big problem.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not enchilada related, is what I
No,
meant by
but
it.
it's still a call related thing. Should I move him to the audience and make him a moderator, guys? Oh, you guys, we'd lose him if we.
Actually, it looks like Cindy just made Darcy an admin in the
She
club.
did.
So
She called me a minute, so hopefully we won't have any issues going forward.
Oh, good. Okay, well, I just made you a moderator for this call now, so.
Okay.
All right. Hey, I do get listened to because I actually did recommend that you be made a moderator the other week. So, see, we talk about you, Darcy, but when you don't
Okay,
know it.
Abraham
Well, that's
has
scary.
his hand raised in Zoom.
All right.
He
So
gave up
he's-
on Clubhouse. Sorry, Brad.
All right. I don't know where we're gonna hear you, but go ahead.
Yeah, I tried Club Deck for the first time today, and I
Sorry.
couldn't figure out how to unmute.
Okay, so when you do so with Club Deck, what you have to do first of all is Control Shift A to accept the invitation, and then Control M will unmute you once you're on stage. So
Oh, I thought there would be a pop-up, but I couldn't see one.
no,
Anyway,
and we can talk more
I
about
was
that off
thinking,
the call. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, I was thinking that maybe grated potato or something in your sauce could thicken it as well.
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Or double cream as well for a non-vegan option.
All
It's
right.
also known
very-
as heavy cream in most places.
All right, very good. And Abraham, get with me out because even though you're using the dark side, I can still help you with a lot of the Club Deck things. You found the room okay, so that's good. But Control Shift A, and then it's not a pop up; it's a little sound. And so Control Shift A, and then Control M will mute you and unmute you when you are on stage. So those are some of the basics.
Thanks.
All right. Very good. Anybody else?
No, sir.
All right. So first of all, just want to say hi. We've got Monique, a Monique in the audience. You're one of several Moniques that I know. So in Clubhouse, so welcome. And to everybody else who's out there too, by the way, you know, just hi to you, whether you're on Zoom, ACB Media. We're glad to hear from you. All right. So let's see what Tori has to say about substitutions. And so first of all, one of the things she talks about is that you can use several things as the meat alternative. And so she recommends jackfruit as one, or you can use tofu or mushrooms. Now, Donna, of course, can't use mushrooms, but cheese, obviously, just replace it with your cheese of choice. And if you need dairy-free, and plus fried diced mushrooms in place of the soups, but I didn't recommend the mushrooms, obviously, because, Donna, you were allergic to the mushrooms, not the dairy. Well, at least, no, I think you talked about eating cheeseburgers on your thing there, so, our thing. You can buy dairy-free sour cream. But I guess you can also easily make your own with a dairy-free yogurt and some lemon juice. or just use a dairy-free yogurt or a vegan mayo. So that's how you can make your own sour cream. I'm reading off a text message, guys. And actually, Chanel, if I was to send this to you, would you be able to pull it up in your? You wouldn't be able to pull it up in your braille display real quick, would you?
Sorry, I'm on hold and I'm trying to.
Okay. Never mind. Be careful with the labeling on packages for tortillas because a lot of them are dairy based. So make sure you pay attention to that. Most of them are dairy and egg free, but there are some brands, so just pay attention to the packaging for that. Milk is another one to be on the lookout for. You can also buy gluten free tortillas and or just make your own tortillas. So those are Tori's tips for alternatives with the tortilla casserole. So, all right. Any other questions?
No.
Nope. Okay, so next week, guys, well, we're gonna pop some corn. Yeah. Cindy LeBon is going to join us and talk about many of the different ways to make popcorn. And so we hope you'll be able to join us for that. And then in June, we are going to have some very important guests with us. You know, I mean, like, so super important. You'll want to make sure you rise just even when I say the name for the June 6th call, as we are going to have the one, the only Cindy Hollis. And she and Kayla are going to talk to us about a lot of their kitchen tips, including some of the questions we've gotten about cutting and whatnot. And let's see. Let me bring up my schedule to see what else we have here. I'm just waiting for my timer to be done. Hey, Google, how much time is left? Hey, Google, how much time is left?
4 minutes and 59 seconds remaining.
All right. Okay, so let's take a look at my schedule here. Oh, that's right. Heidi is going to be joining us on the 13th for frozen s'mores and grasshopper pies. So get ready to get bounced around there on the campfire. Breakfast quinoa pudding is on the 27th. There is no call on the 20th due to convention. And that's going to take us out to June, July 4th. There's no call. And then the following week, the 11th, we're going to be doing one of my favorites, sticky garlic chicken. And we're going to have Michael joining us in late July. You do probably do not know this, Michael. A couple of you do, but he makes some very good cookies. He loves to bake, and so I invited him to come on the call. We were hoping to have him on here sooner, but that did not work out. Speedy Tortilla Pizza is going to round out to July. Homemade lemonade and popsicles, a great summertime treat in August. And Michael Babcock. So we're going to have two Michaels joining us here. We're going to have two mics on the mic. And he's going to talk to us about using the Traeger. And probably talk about other tech cooking related things as well. So looking forward to that. And Tyann, we have openings on the 15th and 27th of August. If either of those work for you and you'd like to make your similar recipe. And the 29th, actually. And then our next booking is the 26th of September, actually, with Heidi, and she's going to make applesauce. So we're getting some autumn-themed things there. So we're going to be finding other things to fill up those things. Oh, we got apple bread. I'll be making that in August. I'm definitely going to practice that recipe ahead of time. And apple fritters. Ooh, yes, indeed. And then, if that's not enough, Heidi's apple raisin oatmeal cookies on October 17th. Oh, my. And
Seeing a theme with some of these.
yeah, and in case you haven't picked up on the theme yet, apple pie is going to round out our October. And let's see, do we have anything in November? Oh, Heidi's gingerbread spice mix and gingerbread cookies starts us off in December. And gingerbread cheesecake. And that's it for our cooking call recipes. So we got a lot of interesting stuff for you right around the corner. So don't go nowhere. Just stay locked in. The Zoom link will not change. ACB Media listeners, there'll be plenty of calls to keep you entertained until we come back on. And Clubhouse people, you can't stay because the room closes, but I wish we could keep it open so we could just keep you locked and loaded right here to your favorite call. That doesn't work like that, though. Speaking of calls, though, there are some other good calls. For instance, we have Dancing with Darcy coming up. Actually, we don't, but, you know.
No one wants that.
Yeah, you're right about that. We've got My Blind Way coming up at 11 o'clock Central, which is noon Eastern. Gotta give this in the ACB time. Unmute Presents with Michael Babcock and Marty coming up at 1. Great call. And Games to Play with Lady A at 2 p.m. with Lucy. So make sure you join us for that. We're trying to recruit her to come on my call, but so far she has declined the invitation. For those of you listening on Sunday edition, you'll know what I'm talking about. And what else do we have? Well, we have a lot of Braille calls happening throughout the week, including the Braille Room at 5 with Dorlin. Oh, helpful hints on homophones. How could I forget about that? At 3 p.m. Eastern. You want to come into that one, so that way you'll know the difference between no, and we can talk about nose and nose and nose. Yes, there's 3 no's in there. Hey, you know, speaking of noses, you know, what did one eye say to the other eye? Well, between you and me, there's something that smells. Anyway, I don't remember what words she's going to talk about today, but it is a very entertaining call that's also going to be streamed on Media 5, along with the previous 2 calls that I mentioned. So you've got a lot of great things coming up for you today. And like I said, the Braille Room at 5 for both beginners and advanced users. And that's to help people learn Braille or to learn Braille yourself. And I believe they're using what's called the McDuffie reader. When I think of Muck, I think of McDonald's, but hey, Google, stop. And tomorrow, just cooking-related call-wise, I believe it is going to be the recipe swap tomorrow. And I forget what the theme is off the top of my head. I should really know these things. I should actually come prepared for these calls. What can I say? But
Memorial Day memory.
That's
or Memorial Day recipes.
Memorial Day recipes. Okay, very good. So that promises to be exciting. And for those of you in Canada and other countries, well, still come anyway. You can talk about what you make for your similarly themed holidays. And I'm assuming they don't celebrate Memorial Day in Canada, right?
We do not.
Okay. Don't know what you guys are missing out on.
Although we did have, yesterday was our long weekend, or Monday was our holiday. We had Victoria Day. That's what we do in Canada. See, it's always the week before Memorial Day.
So maybe that's the holiday, Chanel, that pharmacy thinks that they needed to take off, which is weird because they're not Canadian, but...
Yeah.
Okay, I see how it is. So
Andrew mentioned that today in ACB Presents.
That's right. All right. Well, we got us a casserole now that I just took out the oven. And I will fork some out. And Chanel, would you like to have the honors of taste testing for us, or are you...
Yeah, I'm coming.
Okay.
Hold was proving interminable, so at this point I don't
really
care.
Excited about it. Yeah, I'll be right there.
Well, I just don't. I don't. It sounds like it's probably not going to be the tortilla casserole that I remember, but hopefully just as good.
Well, you'll have to let us know if it stacks up to the one you had growing up, or I assume you had it growing up.
Hey, just remember I'm making this under protest because you know I do what the listeners and audience members request, and so I'm doing it for you guys. It is not a recipe like I said, I personally would choose to make. All right, so we're going to find out now if it's a tortilla casserole that Chanel remembers. And I'm going to put this on the table with a fork. And, oh, it's that bad? Okay.
I'm sitting down.
Oh.
Sheesh.
Oh.
Just sit. Oh, my.
Oh.
One, you've got stuff running off the plate. It's a little bit messy. It's interesting. Okay. Not bad. Maybe I'm having a hard time. This is a hard one to cut up and. It might be pretty good. I don't know yet.
Okay, so I guess the jury's still out. All right, very good. Very good. So,
And
yep.
Abraham has his hand up, and also we're coming up on 10 minutes to the top of the hour.
Okay, so now's the last chance to get in those questions, and we will prioritize anybody who has not spoken first after Abraham. Okay, go ahead, Abraham.
Hi. You mentioned this is not crunchy at all. Do you miss the crunch texture-wise? I do like crunch texture-wise. So I thought maybe do you top it with breadcrumbs or maybe bake up some tortilla chips for the side or top
I
it with
mean, first of all, I think it did get a little bit crunchy just because Chanel was definitely crunching a little bit, so I think it did get a bit crunchy, and it could be because
I have a hard time cutting things.
Right. Did you want a knife, or did you want...
No.
Okay. But I don't see, I think if I was going to make it crunchy, I'd probably just put another layer of tortillas on the actually very top.
Oh,
crisp up. And you could even put them on like towards the last, few minutes, like let the stuff bake in. And so that way they're guaranteed to be crispy. So that's what I think I personally would do.
Okay.
It's a little bit different without the chicken. I mean, I think I can kind of taste the other meat in there, but...
Right. I'm going to really have to find a meatless chili and then try this again with the chicken, so.
Yeah.
All right. Who is next?
No one.
No one. All right.
Unless you have someone in Clubhouse.
Darcy
does not appear to be.
Nope.
But again, I mean, who knows whether...
Yeah. Well, we just don't know because he wasn't even a moderator, the poor guy.
For like the first hour of the call, so...
But I'm not
probably
seeing
hands were going up and down just willy-nilly. And
they could be.
Man. Clubhouse.
Yep. All right. Well, now that you're made an admin, you'll be able to open rooms now, and we won't have this particular problem. So, we talk about people behind their backs. I've warned Cindy who's likely to take over the world with using robot domination and things like that. All sorts of interesting things. You don't believe me? Just ask her. Just ask her who I said that is likely to take over the world with robots, and see what she says. She won't even know what you're talking about, actually, because I haven't told her that. But and for the record, I think it's going to be... Oh, sorry, guys. We got to get going. But,
Abraham.
Abraham.
Has his hand up again?
Are you saying he has his hand up, or he's the one likely to take over the world? I'm confused now. He's not denying it either.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I came in a bit later. I didn't hear what happened to Tori today.
Well, those robots I was talking about? They got her.
I thought you used maybe like tortillas instead of tortillas in your recipe today.
Tortilla. No, okay, no. So no, Tori actually is a little bit under the weather and has some things going on with extra.
She'll be back.
dogs and whatnot. I know she talked a little bit about that last week.
She's just under the weather. That's it.
Yeah. I'm being told what to see. I'm being dictated to. Now we know who the dictator is going to be. So she'll be back next week, though. Well, I mentioned that because I was hoping originally to get her to do a pre-recorded thing for our
That's impossible right now.
Tori's tips, but that wasn't going to work out for her. So, and yeah, I kind of gathered it was impossible since she said that it would be impossible and that she texted.
Great.
I was trying to still give her a chance for the spotlight. You know, some people do still like to make guest appearances, even if it's just for a brief moment, you know, and so they can still have their moment in the sun, but don't win the full participation. So, you know, as a courteous host with a co-facilitator, I wanted to make sure that she had an equal opportunity if she wanted to shine. So, forgive me. I suppose. All right. Well, guys, if you haven't figured it out by now, Chanel is now going to be our new global dictator.
No.
No?
No.
No? Okay. All right. So what's that beeping then? It's not. No.
It's the bomb going off.
I know
Hey,
where-
what is that? I hear
It's
that.
it's an insulin pump, actually. So.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is.
Oh.
There's no cause for alarm.
We're at 5 minutes to the
It's probably just as well.
5 minutes left.
Now everybody's panicking.
Just in general, 5 minutes left.
Just in general. No, it's just the it really is an insulin pump. What you're hearing, you hear that beeping, guys, because I'm sure you've heard it other times before. So, that's all it is. So, and especially with a high carb recipe like this, you've got to definitely
imagine.
take insulin. So, I want to thank everybody for coming to this call today. My thanks to Diane for hosting in Zoom, Darcy for connecting us and streaming in Clubhouse, and myself for moderating. Because
I was going to say, not so much moderating.
Yeah.
Wow.
I took away from his sing and dance routine, and which is good because he didn't want it in the first place. So
yeah, I'm not sure where that's even coming from because that is definitely not me.
No, well, because people see us like just all over the place, and you never know where we're going to be. And people talk about I do it all, and but I'm not the only one that actually really does it all. But I digress. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to all of you for listening to this. And
Herbie, you're a jack of all trades and good at every one of them.
Oh, thank you. Well, we've determined there's some things I am not good at. For instance, you'll never see me on a crafting call. Don't know it. Never really. Don't think I know how to knit. Don't really know that I want to know. And so there you go. There are some things. But on that note, so thank you to everybody. If you have any requests for future calls, don't forget you can reach out to me through community@acb.org. Or if you'd like to make a guest appearance, we can arrange that too. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the ACB Cooks list. And you can do that by sending an email to community@acb.org. And if you are a first-time member and not even subscribed to the community, you can do two things in one email. Just include your name and email address and say, I'd like to subscribe to the community call list, or just say, I'd like to subscribe to the ACB Cooks list, or indicate that you'd like to sign up for both. Just make sure to include your name and email address, because that'll make it a lot easier for the moderators to copy it and put it into their list, and they are more than happy to do that. Volunteers are standing by when you email. So there you go, some real reassurance there. That is, yeah. So hopefully Tori will be back next week, and June is going to be interesting as I will be coming to you from Washington State. So I am going to sound not so awake because I'll be at 7 in the morning instead of 9. So that's going to be happening in June. And on that note, guys, you may end the respective rooms and streams. And